that'll...
I think being able to see things far away would be pretty neat.
So like binoculars.
Yeah, can technology make such a thing?
I was thinking Iron Man, get out some jetpacks and fly. But,
I'm a simple man, I like to see shit.
I want to see really far.
But the main thing behind us is the fact that we love the design and we're actually doing something positive. Like, we could basically help improve people's lives, and the fact that you're lowering the cost of it, you get it to people who've never been able to have a hand. And so, yeah, it's like we get to do something we love, and it's doing something good. So that's more than a lot of people can say.
Hello, and welcome to the Idiots Anonymous podcast. We're two engineers. One of us is conventionally handsome, really clever, and just great fun at parties. And the other one is Ginger. And this is the show where we, along with our guests, make everyday life a little more complicated than it normally is, which grants us the title of Idiots. So starting off the introductions, my name's Rory, and I'm an idiot.
Hello, Rory.
So I'm an idiot this week because for one of my uni projects, I downloaded one of those PDF scanner apps you get on your phone because I'm a student and I didn't have a printer. So it was like one of those 7-day trial things. So I was like, I'll use it, scan it, delete it. Didn't, so it cost me 30 quid for the year for this PDF app. And
oh my God.
It's not the only app I've ever done that on, but I was like, 30 quid to scan PDFs. And
well, if I was to scan anything, I know who to come to.
Scan master.
Yeah, just start a new business from it. The only way I can get that money back.
Yep, so as everyone knows, hello, my name's Ryan and I'm an idiot.
All right.
Hi, Ryan.
Hello. I'm an idiot because I was racking my brains for examples of why I'm an idiot, and this one came to mind. I was, we were at Lake Tahoe in California, and it was super fancy. We were trying to make our way to the campsite, and we had this car. It was a Dodge Charger.
Brag.
This thing. Yeah, humble brag, I know. But it just guzzled fuel. Like, the mileage on it was just absolute garbage. So, to get to the campsite, we were going uphill, and this is in the middle of nowhere, like literally in the middle of a national forest. And we ran out of fuel at the top.
We're at the top of the hill?
We decided the top of the hill, yeah.
Just roll it in.
And so in the morning, we were like, oh, this is a problem for tomorrow. So we had a nice wee camping session. Spent the night there, woke up and we're like, shit, we don't have any fuel in the car. So we managed to get it started, like it started sputtering. And me and this other guy managed to coast it for half an hour down.
How big was this hill?
Cliff. Mate, it's literally like winding roads down the side of a cliff and everything. We coasted it all the way down. And there was a Shell petrol station at the bottom. But yeah, could have gone
like
without
an idiot, man. That's pretty good.
That's almost clever.
It's like one of those interview questions, like, what's your biggest weakness? But it's like, oh, but it's really my strength.
Yeah, my biggest weakness is, I come across problems and I just fix them like an absolute idiot.
Just really quickly,
Right, my name's Fergal, and I'm an idiot because I'm also going to go with a story. It was my 18th birthday, and I was on holiday, getting drunk. Probably the drunkest I've ever been. I don't think I've ever been drunk as drunk, and it was on red wine, which I've never really had.
Classic
I woke up the next day.
That's classic.
Probably about 12 o'clock, and then I didn't get out of bed probably till about 4 o'clock, till horror came to me. I couldn't see, or I could see, but my eyes weren't focusing on it. I
can't see.
I was very scared, and I went to my mum. My mum's a doctor, and her professional advice for me was, "You're probably still drunk." It got to about 9 o'clock. I was pretty panicky by this point till I went into a mirror and realised I put 2 contact lenses in the same eye.
That's probably the best story we've had so far.
That's class.
There's a couple other things from that night as well. Probably the best of it is that in the middle of the night, didn't know this until I looked at my clothes the next day. I got up. I didn't go out my balcony to be sick. I went out, my pal who was in the sort of adjoining room, out there onto their balcony to be sick. And I was just sick on the floor instead of going over the balcony for some reason.
Lovely.
And then I got up again later in the night to go out and be sick, slipped on the set, got covered in it, had to go back defeated.
Fergal's elbow,
Oh,
right?
mate.
It's a good night, I think.
I bet it was.
Okay, so hi, I'm James, and I'm an idiot.
Hello, James. Oh, I was premature there.
Oh, James.
James.
First time.
Okay, mine is another story as well. So this was not from too long ago because I've only recently started to like sushi, and so I mean every opportunity I can get. And so I was having leftovers for lunch one day, and I had a little egg cup. I love my soy sauce, so I filled it with soy sauce. I'm also trying to learn to use chopsticks. So I got my chopsticks, my sushi, and my egg cup of soy sauce. And so I go to lift up the sushi, dip it in the soy sauce, but directly over it, I drop the sushi, like directly instead of the egg cup, and it splashes all over me and the rest of the living room. And it's just like,
Nice.
oh yeah, shit, there's like soy sauce everywhere. So it's like a white top as well, but I'm like, alright, I'm going to get changed out of this and then clean up. So I changed it to a white top, changed it to another white top, go back out, and I clean everything up. And I then proceed to do the exact same thing again. At this point, we're 2 white tops down, and I'm like, alright, we're not putting on white.
Do I cut my losses
Yeah,
here?
yeah, so I go back and change my t-shirt again, not learn the previous lesson. And so then I decide I'm going to take this through to like the kitchen because like the living room's a mess. And then as I'm taking it through to the kitchen, I then launch it across the third top and across the kitchen as well. So I think my flat smelled like soy sauce for a week after that. And
I love the smell of soy sauce. I just put soy sauce in everything just so it smells like
yeah,
it.
I love soy sauce as well, but when you're smelling it for an entire week,
Could you get it
Oh,
out?
that's brutal, man.
Can you get it out of the
surprisingly,
t-shirt?
yeah.
Really?
That's
My
not
wash
I
bean's
thought it'd be
magic.
quite a stain.
Yeah.
Like fermented
Yeah.
soybean stuff, isn't it?
We had a flatmate who
I have no
did a similar thing. He was making pasta, weirdly, in a wok.
Okay.
The wok's quite a angular thing. It didn't quite balance on the old metal
Yeah,
gratings.
yeah.
And about 5 minutes into cooking it, it flipped and spilt pasta sauce everywhere. And then after cleaning it all up, he did a pretty good job of cleaning it all up. He starts making his pasta again and does the exact same.
Obviously,
so he had to then make it again, but this time the cleanup job was pretty pathetic. There was still pasta sauce all over the countertops because it literally like flipped it, slingshotted it across the room.
Yeah, it's just
So- Yeah, so as you can tell, we're all very mature, functioning adults. And believe it or not, these two mature, functioning adults, James and Fergal, that we've got today, are actually successful entrepreneurs.
Successful is
Successful,
being used
yeah.
very loosely.
We say successful, okay? We say successful.
We're on our way.
So, Metacarpal is your startup that you're working on, and it's super interesting. I've been following it since you started it. We went to uni together, and you started it just after we graduated. Well, even before that. Do you just want to give us a run through of what it is, what you're doing?
So we've actually practiced this about 2,000 times.
Yeah.
So it started off as my master's university project, where I basically wanted to do something that was difficult and pretty cool. So I decided prosthetic hand was up there, and so I spent my master's
A what?
prosthetic hand. Sorry, a
Okay.
3D printed prosthetic hand. So I spent my master's making that, and then I eventually noticed that I had a kind of business potential. So I thought, after leaving university, I'm going to form a business and do this. And then I got into a competition, the semi-finals of a competition. I realised that's a lot of work. So then, knowing Fergal as the bright young man he is, I said, do you want to get involved in the business? And then together we founded Metacarpal, made that a limited company, where I'm CEO, Fergal's the CTO. And yeah, I've just been working on it to this day. We won SIE's Fresh Ideas Awards just a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent, congrats.
And
Cheers, yeah.
we're pretty involved with University of Strathclyde. They've got an accelerator, and that's our main source of advice, and we've got a little workspace there as well. But yeah, I've just been working in our 2 little flats, prototyping, making hands all through lockdown, and we're hoping in the next few months is when things start to take off, like funding wise.
Yeah.
That's
I
it,
think
Fergal.
you've sort of covered every aspect. Yeah, you brought me on about June-ish, so a good bit after graduate. There was a wee bit of a honeymoon period after graduating to still celebrate
Yeah.
as much as you can in lockdown. But yeah, We've been working on it now. It's almost a year, so...
Yeah. So I started working on it back, it was even before we started 5th year, so I was working on it around about July, August time. So it's a pretty old project now.
Oh, you should see this thing. You guys, if you go on our Instagram, the Idiots Anonymous pod, you can catch a glimpse. And there we'll below in the episode description, you can get all the links to the Metacarpal social media as well and website.
Yeah. The website's particularly well done. Fergal's put a lot of time into it.
Excellent.
It's looking pretty sleek.
Yeah, please follow, like, and subscribe to the socials. I always wanted to say
Socials.
that. So.
Hit us up at www.metacarpal.co.uk.
The first time I got to see a link in the description was just it was a big moment for me. So it's obviously a very cool idea, but how did you come up with it, James? Like, obviously there are hands, like prosthetic hands that exist now, but what's like different about the one you guys are doing?
Alright, so it's kind of two parts, like how I came up with the idea. And so actually it stemmed from me hating my 4th year project, where it was something I was completely uninterested in. It was all about cooling drinks, and I'm not passionate about cooling drinks whatsoever. And it made me think for next year I wanted something I actually liked. And then there was a Veritasium video about compliant mechanisms, and I thought these are all pretty neat.
And what's a compliant mechanism for people who don't know?
So a compliant mechanism, it's basically a mechanism that's all one part. So if you think of scissors, have like 2 different parts to it, like one bit goes one way, one bit goes the other. A compliant mechanism would be a single part that can just bend in the way to cut something.
Okay.
So compliant mechanisms are just bendy mechanisms. Yeah. And then I seen that there was a Disney research paper that had a hand shaped with compliant mechanisms, but it was just for like show. It wasn't actually used for anything. I thought it'd be pretty cool if I could make that into a working prosthetic hand. And then one thing led to another. Did a project. Fergal got on board. We're apparently a successful company. And Fergal, do you want to tell us?
So what's different is so James told me that he was initially thinking that he'd have to do a electronic hand, because that seems where the technology is going. You'd imagine these things are the best. You get these robot hands that look cool. But if you just see them, or if you speak to people that wear them, they're actually pretty limited. There's only like a couple sensors in your arm, a couple inputs that your arm can do through electric muscle sensors, and it's pretty limited, the controls, just because it's straight on and off. And it turns out that they're still competing with these hook devices. So it's just like a metal claw that look a bit primitive, and because of that, there's a bit of a stigma around wearing them. But despite this, they're still very popular because they're actually probably more functional than the electronic ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
So our whole company is based around bringing a nicer cosmetic to these devices, as well as adding in some extra functions that electronic ones have. Like, because it's in the shape of a hand, you can have different grips and things like that. And so our whole company is trying to do all these processes that would normally have electronic motors and instead do it mechanically.
Yeah, and to touch on that, the way these hands are controlled, as Fergal said, is through 2 sites, like kind of 2 muscle sites. It's kind of you tend existing muscles and what's left of the arm, or what they have in the arm, and that tells the arm to close and contract. And the way to imagine it is imagine a hand and try and control it with only 2 buttons, just on-off buttons, with 1 second of lag.
Oh.
That's kind of like the functionality you're talking about. So it's kind of like you can do, like, for like all the videos, you can see you'll pick things up. But it's like, if you imagine what you use your hand for, just like picking things up, and you had to live with a second of lag, and you could only have like 2 buttons to like go through everything. It just comes really difficult to do just easy things.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a guy who does it's probably like a TikTok or something like that, but he like tells people about his hand.
Yeah.
And he's like, it changes really quick, but it takes ages to actually fully grasp.
Yeah,
and
that's a big issue.
Yeah.
So one sort of thing that sort of encapsulates all of this is that for electronic ones, if you were to catch a ball, say even like a really grippy ball, that'd be almost impossible feat. You'd have to spend ages practicing, and it would be a bit of luck. Whereas in body-powered devices, it's expected, it's part of the training, just because it's just a length tension relationship cable that goes around your back.
Yeah,
It
so to
opens and
explain,
closes.
the way
Pretty simple.
body power works is so you obviously have the prosthetic hand connected to the socket. So you have the hand, the socket, and then the socket connects to the arm, and then a cable runs from the hand round the back of your back, up to your
back.
up to your other shoulder, and your shoulder is what controls the movement. So as you move the opposite shoulder, you can move it forward, the hand closes. As you relax your shoulder, the hand opens, and so you can orientate how the hand opens and closes just for your body position. So it means like there is some limitations, and reaching above your head, it's always going to be shut, but it still gives you greater control than an electronic device would.
Right, I see.
Right. You also don't have to worry about it running out of battery and you being stuck grasping something.
Yeah, imagine it runs out of battery, you just can't pick anything up anymore.
It's like opening a door.
It's funny, like because we always have to justify it over the electronic ones, but battery and stuff, it doesn't even come into our talking points because there's so many other things
a lot more
worse.
problematic.
Yeah, like the response time, the weight is probably the main thing because it just makes it really uncomfy to wear. And then because you can't feel the pressure, whereas ours you'll feel whatever pressure you're holding it in the cable. You can't feel any pressure, so one guy that we were talking to said he'd always like smash glasses if he was holding them. Just because you don't want to drop the glass, but then all of a sudden you're holding it way too tight.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super interesting. Yeah, and I never thought about it that way. But James, you said earlier, switching from your 4th to your 5th year project, you wanted something that you were passionate in. Are you both passionate about this industry, and what makes that so?
Oh, like I'd say it's one of the main driving factors. Like at our accelerator, for example, there are people who are doing companies that have possibility to make billions. Now for us, like we're not making billions, like maybe millions, who knows. But the main thing behind us is the fact that we love the design and we're actually doing something positive. Like we could basically help improve people's lives, and the fact that you're lowering the cost of it, you get it to people who've never been able to have a hand. And so yeah, it's like we get to do something we love and it's doing something good. So that's more than a lot of people can
we
say.
don't have any like crazy story tying us to prosthetics.
Yeah, we haven't
a
rehearsed a made up story.
It's mostly just it's mostly I feel like the design course that we did with you guys and our own interests actually lined us up pretty well for this sort of constant prototyping, building it, testing it, and then trying again and again till you get it right to complete this task, like it was for some of the things we did at uni, like storm the castle. I don't know if you want to go in and talk about those things, but I feel like those projects actually set us up pretty well.
Yeah, you were mentioning prototypes there. How obviously we've talked a little bit before, and you're prototyping using 3D printed parts. But how are you actually testing them? Like, how are you getting user feedback?
That is obviously one of the most difficult things with COVID. Honestly,
yeah, I can imagine.
When we started, we didn't expect it to go on for this long, but we did manage a single test with a user named Rico. So when the lockdown restrictions were like at the most lax and it was relatively safe, and we went round, and he actually had the hand on his socket, so he was actually moving around using the hand.
Cool.
Yeah, the hand was literally made within 3 days as well, because it was a
it was a rush. Yeah,
because we got into the finals of a competition, we wanted to show it working. So, but then after this, lockdown restrictions just went crazy strict, and especially he was living with his wife's mother, his mother-in-law, even easier way to say it. And she was fairly old, so we didn't want to do anything too risky. And then it's always been the case, we don't want to risk anyone for like data. That doesn't make sense. It's just been really a case of contact as many clinicians, users as possible, and just gauging their feedback that way.
Right. And from this interaction you had with Rico when he was able to test out your hand, and I saw that video, it was really, really cool. So did you get some some positive results from that? I'm assuming from that you were able to refine the design and make changes. And how useful has that been?
You can't really put a word to it. It's seeing someone actually use it. It
was pretty surreal.
Yeah. Helped us a lot just to figure out what are the points that it needs to be able to meet to work. Because that day it snapped. A big part of it snapped. And we're like, okay, well that obviously needs refined. But just in general, the function, like the extra functions that we want to bring with it, with the sort of main things that became a lot clearer through that test.
Yeah, it was even just things that you would never think of. Like, so when we tested it, the way we had the hand grasp, it was like kind of, I can't really show this, but it wasn't as wide open as he'd want to be. As like he said, put the thumb in a more open position so we could grasp larger objects. And so now all our designs kind of incorporate, so you can at least hold a pint glass or even bigger. So it's just,
so you could only hold small stuff. And he was like, I can't get to you.
It's one of those things you wouldn't really think of until you've seen it at the problem happen in front of you.
Exactly.
There's a sort of balance between, because it's the easiest way to do it is for the thumb to move on an axis of rotation. So there's a balance between having a thumb that looks normal when your hand is just straight, and then when your hand's in a grabbing position, you want your thumb to be quite open so you can grab bigger stuff. Yeah. So there's a sort of trade-off management, and there's a couple other factors like sort of twisting the axis of rotation a bit.
Yeah, but that's confidential. Design information.
It's all confidential.
But I'm right in saying you guys there's 2 distinct prototypes.
At the
you were saying before.
So,
all right. So at this point, there's I think we're on our 8th or something prototype. We've had tons. So the way it works is that me and Fergal have to work remotely. We just can't work in the same place. Like our computers just split apart, whatever. And it doesn't really make sense to kind of work on the same 3D model because we haven't been shared back and forth. We haven't got any mad co-working like software setup.
Yeah.
So it'd be a pain in the arse.
Yeah, the way we really work it is we both make our own individual prototypes and we focus on our own aspects, or we do things differently. And then at the end of the day, we can pick the parts which work best and then apply them to the next prototypes and then rinse and repeat. And so now we're kind of at the stage where our prototypes are actually kind of converging, and that's how we kind of realised that we're now at a stage where we can make. So we're actually planning to have better prototypes developed pretty soon, like outsourced printing, like proper printing.
Okay,
cool.
What from? Like, what would be the difference from like in-house printing and outsourced printing?
So the printers that we print at are, you get about 0.2 millimeters.
Layer height.
The layer height.
Yeah.
Is that sort of standard? You can't go a bit lower. But then the SLS printing prints it far more detailed. I forget the actual specific numbers of some of the machines, but you talk about
0.1 millimeters, like the tolerance you work with. Well, if FDM, you're usually working at least 0.3, 0.4.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 4 times extra accuracy,
see.
and it means for
Yeah.
stronger parts that don't break as well. But the
Better
downside,
articulating surfaces because you'll have that tighter tolerance.
exactly. The downside to that kind of printing is the machines cost tens of thousands of pounds. So
Yeah.
we're not doing that for every single prototype.
But we should probably say that the prototypes that we have been developing, it's always been like, okay, James does one, I do one, James does one, I do one. And then the most recent ones that we got to, we decided that we both do one each, take the best factors from each and put them into a final design that we then pay to get outsourced. So at the moment, we've got 2 separate prototypes. James's is called the Iron Hand, and mine's is the Azimuth.
Very
so
beautiful.
It's getting very competitive within Metcarpal, trying to
competition breeds
create the
innovation,
best
right?
hand.
Exactly. It's such a healthy competition.
Yeah.
That's class.
Yeah, that's cool. I've always been like a prototype kind of person. So see, every time we see you guys post something new, and we're like, that's cool. It changed that little bit there. Or that bit's really cool. I also like how you print so that they look cool as well. So you don't necessarily print the same color. So it's all highlighted. It's very cool. It's
a lot of hassle, especially when you print something off, it doesn't work, and then you have to switch all the colours again.
Yeah, you can put that to James. I would just say, like, let's just put it all in black. It'll look nice, sleek. James loves the extra design. Yeah, extra design phase.
Feel like Batman. Does it come in black?
Does feel like that sometimes, but it just looks so nice without any effort. I find all black.
Yeah.
Almost lazy, Fergal. All right, James just putting in the design.
He's only making the odd part grey and white, is it?
But it's the little details. It's the little detail.
Yeah, maybe.
So once this new hand, the one you're going to do, that's going to be a lot nicer, a lot printed, really cool. What would you think comes next? Like, what are your aspirations for where eventually you're going to go? Once, obviously, once you've got a bit more freedom, you can get into your workspace, that kind of stuff.
So the biggest thing is to actually test the devices and get real life feedback, because at the end of the day, people can be wearing them for several hours a day, so we have to make sure they work properly and they're all good. So this first prototype we're making, we're expecting something to be slightly wrong that we have to fix. So this first prototype's kind of like adapting to a new manufacture technique, finding out the faults, like learning its capabilities, etc. But then after this, we'll make a new design, and then following this, we're looking to do a crowdfund campaign.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Amazing.
The basis of this is we're going to be raising X amounts, and this will be going towards providing, I think it's 5 devices to 5 patients free of charge, and they just give us feedback and they try them out. And then this kind of gets us one step closer to the released product. So that would be what we'd call, so right now we're on our alpha products, and then the device we start testing with patients would be our beta, and that's preparing us for our release, which is hopefully early next year.
Prototypes all get tested through the crowdfunding campaign, and then we plan on sort of funneling all that information into the final design, which we'll probably be doing with a design consultancy to just help us get it ultra refined before releasing it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. So for the crowdfunding campaign, so am I right in saying people would be pledging money but not necessarily getting a hand themselves? They would be pledging to help you bring this to others?
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Well, I definitely thought that wasn't how they initially worked. Like, you'd normally pledge money to a company that could then give you the product or whatever they're selling in return. But there is quite a lot of companies that seem to, especially sort of more socially motivated ones like this. We're just using it to build the hands. So we're quite transparent about what we're actually attempting to do with the money. It's literally because we don't have the money to do these tests.
And the money that's been put in, they're not walking away empty-handed. So we're going to have bits of merchandise.
Merch, love it.
Yes.
So ideas are kind of like, we're designers, right? We can make some pretty cool t-shirts.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mate,
You've seen the logo.
I could defos go a Metacarpal snapback. Oh, that'd be so swag.
And then for the higher tiers, Fergal will make you dinner, things like that.
That was only a suggestion.
I'm pretty fond of it.
You're going to raffle off a date with Fergal.
I thought it was actually you go to dinner with me and James. I thought that was that.
Yeah, I mean,
this was actually
that as well.
a suggestion from our business mentor, Alan Ferry.
Just as long as it's not sushi, because we don't trust James.
Yeah, don't trust you around soy sauce, mate.
I'm not actually any better in sushi restaurants. I went in Poland. I was at a sushi bar. This was before the initial story, but this was one of the first times I ever used chopsticks, and I did exactly what I did like the first time, where I dropped the sushi in soy sauce. But I didn't get it over just myself, but also, like, you know how in sushi bars you have like the guys who actually make the sushi in front of you? I got a bit of soy sauce on him as well.
Oh no, a sushi chef has soy sauce on him.
Yeah, I think he'll live.
He's in it as long as he's not expected just a bit of soy sauce from left field.
Yeah, it's like a chef's thing. If you've got like clean sleeves or whatever, you're a good chef or something like that.
No, if you've got dirty sleeves, you're a good chef.
I thought you were going to say the opposite.
Yeah.
And maybe you helped him, James. I don't know.
My parents used to say, never trust a skinny chef. There you go. But anyway, we digress. That's such a cool pipeline. I love that you've got that plan sorted for the future. I definitely will be getting in on the merch. I need that merch. What do you think's the most hardest or the most surprising thing that you've had to go through in like the process? And don't say COVID.
Yeah, please don't.
I think it's just the rejection.
Really?
We regularly apply to competitions, and then just getting rejected after rejected is kind of difficult to take after some time.
Yeah, because these applications aren't even short. Like most of the time, like minimum 3,000 words, sometimes 5,000. You spend a full up to 2 weeks making them, and then you get you've not been accepted, and then 2 lines of feedback. And it is kind of it does kind of bum you off a bit, but I don't know, the spike kind of drives me.
I like that.
If you've ever been looking for a job for months and months,
Yeah.
it's the same feeling of just like, why don't they want me? And like, you never feel it if they give you a reason, which most of the time they don't. you never feel that that's like really the driving force.
Right. And so is that the case then? From you said sometimes you get like 2 lines of feedback. What type of things would they be saying? Like you're not ready or something?
Some things are just unreasonable. Like there was one we did recently where it was like, I'm not going to name names, but it was 5,000 words, and it was a whole lot of like behind the scene work. Like we had to get paperwork from university.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then they came back to us, and the only feedback was come back to us when you have a patent application filed. And it's like, that's 10k expense.
Yeah.
It's like, we're applying for this for 25k, you expect us already spent 10k on a patent. Like, come on.
That's brutal.
That's what you want to use the money for.
Yeah, that's in our expenses. I'm like...
Exactly.
And it's a lot of the times it is kind of just like, it's little nitpick things where it's like, oh, we could have fixed that in a few minutes or stuff like that. But you just have to get past it and think there's plenty of opportunities. And also, especially now, because it's COVID, everything is extra competitive. Like the biggest competition, Scottish Edge, is getting record numbers of applications because lockdown, people have lots of time to work and things they're doing. So although like me and Fergal like kind of blessed by lockdown to have extra time, it's the kind of business landscape in Scotland's just a lot more competitive.
Sure.
I was saying like even despite we're still making some headway, so we haven't lost motivation. It's just taking a bit more time.
Yeah, we're still going ahead. We've managed to keep our heads up high.
So would you be using the money from your crowdfunding to sort of feed into your patent, or are you actually planning to get the patent application much sooner
so
than
we've
that?
had an IP audit done, and that was, we got that funded through Scottish Enterprise. So we only paid £500 for that, but it was meant to cost about £3,000.
Wow.
So that's a big step in the sort of patent application.
So the IP audit basically goes through what's already out there, and it kind of showed that what we have can be patented, essentially, as long along with advice and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so they concluded that, like a patent lawyer concluded, yes, this is a patentable technology. Yeah. Mate, that's sick.
Yeah, they just found the things closest to it, told us what to worry about, and there were some things that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at, but pretty happy overall, and we're looking to get the patent application filed probably as soon as we start getting funding in.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see your patent, because I remember from our course just reading patents that were like, the device does an on when converted to the on position. You're like, all right. So I switch.
Reading patents is the most painful thing ever.
It's brutal. Yeah, they deliberately try and tell you not what they are doing.
Yeah,
and you don't even know what they're claiming, how it works. So we had to read through quite a lot of them in the audit, and it was pretty dreary.
There's some who were just like, we have no idea what this does, but the picture looks kind of similar.
Yeah. I used to do that for my projects. So like, that looks roughly what I was doing, I think.
Yeah.
So let's just say, shouldn't do that. Anyway, so it's been good to hear about Metacarpal. Obviously, we're going to put all the links and stuff in the description below for everyone to go check it out. And if you are listening and you don't know what we're talking about, I would very much, recommend you go look at it, because it is cool. And if you've got any competitions that they want to enter, they'll put them there and you can support them and
vote them.
Yeah, vote them, because they're living our dream a wee bit. Because I would really like to have my own business, but I have no idea.
From my experience, you should probably get experience first.
Right, yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll come join you boys once you're up and running, and I'll bring it.
That's all you do.
But yeah. So we've obviously been talking about your guys' idea where it's body power, not electrical and stuff. Mm-hmm. But we like to have a little segment, we call them, or like little games. So just to relate kind of to what we've been talking about, I want to pose a hypothetical to you all. Imagine we're 50 years down the line. Technology is advanced. It's bloody sick now. All the electronic stuff is great. And humans no longer have prosthetics or robotic enhancements because they need them, but because they want them. They want the cool stuff. I want a really cool robot hand or whatever. So imagine you have unlimited budget. You can kind of come up with whatever weird technology you think might exist in the future. But what prosthetic or enhancement would you get, like robotic, and what would its special feature
You
be?
need 5 minutes to think here.
Is this a is this a PG podcast?
Robo Dick.
You've all played Cyberpunk.
If I had to choose something that was like just kind of violent prosthetic, I think being able to see things far away would be pretty neat. You know, you just like you're atop a mountain, you just look like into the next village, and you're like, oh, Barbara's buying some bread from the baker.
So like binoculars.
Yeah, can technology make such a thing?
I really don't think you're going quite there big enough, James. I was thinking Iron Man, get out some jetpacks and fly.
I'm a simple man. I like to see shit.
I want to see really far.
I want to see far, just to see what people are up to, really, not for any other reason.
Oh, would you look at that? Someone's buying bread from the baker.
Yeah,
oh,
I
would you
don't
look at
want
that?
to dominate. I don't want to like destroy the world. I don't want to like jump off an airplane. I just want to look at some shit, you know? Just look contemplatively off into the distance. Some dolphins skimming across the water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
So are you talking about like an inbuilt vision magnification like implant that goes like and your eye pure turns around?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Goes, like,
Just,
yeah, and, like go gadget eye binoculars like straight out your face.
Now I think about it, you could just use binoculars.
yeah. I think Rudy mentioned arms, so I was thinking it's like some sort of attachment that comes out your arm. Oh. And I was like, oh, so you just have binoculars coming out your arm.
Exactly that.
That's pretty rubbish.
Of all the special attachments to an arm, it's just a little lens. You're like, don't take pictures or anything. I can
Well, one of the companies that we actually like spoke to the other day have a number of sort of attachments for their arm, and they've got like a Bluetooth speaker in the arm, a flashlight. I think that's about as far as it goes, actually. But
why would you want a Bluetooth speaker
good thing
in your arm? Okay,
why would
put it this way, right? So one of the big problems, well, I suppose that Rudy put forward, but is kind of a big problem with the electric powered arms, is battery life and like performance. Like if you're using current and also like stored energy to power a Bluetooth speaker and all these attachments, like the actual function of the arm, like the grip and everything, won't be as good. And then
yeah,
but you'll have bumping tunes. So really,
I have absolute bangers.
Right. Okay. So we've got really cool zoomable eyes from James.
I was going to go for the Iron Man jetpacks coming out your hands.
Oh, sick!
Who doesn't want to fly? That's it's pretty unbeatable, I'd say.
I'll be able to see you when you're flying.
Well, you won't see me. I'll be too quick.
It's just his hands, so like goes to rub his nose while he's flying and just launches it.
I was thinking along the lines of, so you know how when you go a hill walk or you climb like a Munro or something in Scotland, or you're up quite high and you're looking over. So see when you climb up to the top of the mountain,
It'd be
and
nice
then
to be able to see quite far, wouldn't it?
and then you take out your binocular attachment, you go and you can see away into the distance. So it always crosses my mind when I'm up at the top of a hill, I wish I had a wingsuit
Here, yeah.
so I could just get
that's
down
good.
rapid style, So you climb up and then you just find like a really steep bit and just dive off.
That's not that unfeasible either. That sounds pretty doable.
I'm not saying like just a normal wingsuit. I mean one that's like literally built into my body. Some, I don't know, like robot wingsuit or something. Oh, and it's got a jetpack too.
Also, it's better than Fergal's because it also has a jetpack.
Yeah, and it has a speaker too, so you can play like Guns N' Roses while you're flying through the air.
But how far can you
Iron Man tunes, AC/DC.
Yeah, but how do you know where you're going if you can't see that far in the
see,
distance?
I'm thinking ahead.
Literally.
You're looking ahead.
See, when I was coming up with this, I was thinking a tail. Get yourself
What?
a robot tail.
Why?
You can get those already, Rory.
Yeah, this is the furry alert.
I meant just for like you could hold.
Just for conventions and.
I'm talking about a robot tail that works kind of like a monkey's tail, and it can I can hold stuff with it, keep my hands free. I can hang from
That'd be very
things.
cool.
Think how good a climber I'd be. I'd just tail up, hands up, be sick.
But it'd be well creepy. You'd be like a wee monkey, just running about, like swinging off stuff.
But Rory, what about sitting down?
Sitting down, then it curls up into
Where?
it curls into like a spring as a little seat.
Oh, like Tigger.
Yeah, like Tigger. There you
See,
go.
dogs sit down and they get on fine, James.
Yeah, monkeys can sit down.
I would probably circle this back to a couple of episodes ago where we talked about like the brain interfaces where like you can interface your brain with AI, that what Elon Musk is doing. And you can use that to like pure read all sorts of signals. So you can just use your mind to like hack into a door panel or something, like unlock a door. Or you could like, I don't know, send text just from your brain just by thinking about it. Or you could like, I don't know, read someone's mind.
Yeah, but I thought we agreed that was horrible and scary and we didn't want to put stuff on our brain.
Yeah, but the point, I mean, I don't really, but I'm making an assumption that it's safe in this scenario. But in reality, I don't think it would be.
I think what Neuralink's
It's
doing
coming.
is a pretty good idea. Like, if you put it towards prosthetics, where one of the main issues is control, Neuralink would change the game.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of potential there. That would completely take us out of the market. But if you look at what they're doing at the moment with the pigs, I think we've got a good 100 years.
Yeah, you're good. You got time.
I feel like it's okay as long as it's like you telling it what to do and it's not influencing what you think. It's fine.
Oh no, let's
Then
not go there.
when it starts putting shit into your brain, that's when it's crossing the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just your arm's like, I want to get stronger. Go lift. You're like, I'm trying to drink milk. It's like, no, you're lifting now.
We must become strong. Legion must become strong. Elon Musk army.
Right. With our Elon Musk army chant, that brings us to the end. We've had you for a whole hour and it's been great. We've enjoyed it. Again, check out Metacarpal and our links and stuff.
Yeah,
really cool
please
stuff.
do.
Thanks for being on, guys.
And get involved with our crowdfund once it finally begins.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sick. Nice to talk to you guys.
Cheers very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See ya.
See ya.